right, my beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, first match of the season, first victory of the season. That's exactly how we wanted to start. It was so cool to be back in the Bernabeu last night. The atmosphere was great. You know, you can tell there's this kind of new hope, this new kind of energy. You can tell there's a kind of a fresh optimism in the stadium, and everybody's just so behind this team. It was really great to be back. I get, you know, even to this day, I get goosebumps every time I hear the anthem in the stadium. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, this was a good match, not a great match, but I would say a pretty good match. Real Madrid always struggles with, you have to be careful with your takeaways from a match like this, because Real Madrid historically has always struggled with low blocks. Modest teams come to the Bernabeu and they just shut shop. They park the bus in front of goal, and it's just very, very difficult to play against teams like this. That kind of is always the case, no matter who your manager is or who your players are. It's just very difficult. And last night was just one of those matches. But if you're under the illusion that this somehow looked like what we were doing last year, and it's only a 1-0 at home, I kind of disagree. I think there are some very positive takeaways from this match that I want to share with you guys. So don't let the optics sort of fool you. I think there are a lot of really, really positive takeaways that I observed last night I want to share with you guys. But anyway, thanks for joining me. As always, let me give you my thoughts on this Real Madrid 1, Osasuna 0. Let's get started. Madridistas, welcome back. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on yesterday's match. Okay, first of all, in terms of the lineup, you'll remember in my preview, now, I only got this half right. I did get the lineup correct. The players that I expected to play were the ones that played. Now, I thought that maybe Xavi would want to play, with his sort of three center backs, the sort of 3-5-2. And that was the formation that I envisioned when I showed you guys my lineup yesterday. Now, I was correct in terms of who played, but I wasn't right about the formation, because it didn't look like a 3-5-2. Tchouaméni was actually playing in the pivot position. He was, further forward. The only two evident center backs were Huijsen and Militao. So this looked a lot more like a 4-3-3, like a conventional 4-3-3. So in terms of the lineup, no surprise in terms of who played. But, a little bit surprising to see kind of the more conventional formation rather than the sort of 3-5-2 that we're all, really, really curious about. In terms of the match itself, look, this was, like I say, this was the typical kind of frustrating low block situation where the other team is defending very, very deep. We find it very hard to find space. We're just kind of rotating the ball around the box as quickly as we can. Osasuna, you can just see the whole block moving left and right. But they were very disciplined, very well organized. I thought Osasuna played a very, very solid defensive game. It was very hard to find any space at all. Most of our attacks, especially in the first half, were coming on the left. It felt like Carreras and Huijsen were initiating every single play. We were attacking disproportionately on the left. We did try to get the ball to the right, but nothing seemed to happen there. Trent, I think, is still very reluctant to take people on one-on-one. So we kind of kept trying to attack, mostly on the left. But again, very, very frustrating. And it's the type of match that we've seen many times before. The second half was kind of more of the same in the first few minutes. Just very frustrating, Osasuna. I was there with a buddy last night, and I kept saying, look, when we score the first goal, that'll break everything open. And once Osasuna has to start to attack, we're going to have more space, and it's going to be a different match. Not really. The goal came in the 51st minute, And you kind of had you knew that the only way to break this defense was just it had to be kind of an individual moment of brilliance, something very quick, very specific that could kind of break through the defense. And we got it in the 51st minute, sort of a very good play by Kylian, who had by the way, a spectacular night. I thought Kylian was amazing last night. His speed is just otherworldly. But we finally got a great move. Kylian gets fouled in the box. Wasn't a very brutal penalty, but it was a penalty. I would say a soft one, but a penalty nonetheless. And of course, Kylian put us up 1-0. Now, after the 1-0, you would normally expect, as I did, that Osasuna would start to attack, and that would sort of open the game up. And I thought, well, if one goes in, the other three are right behind it. But that wasn't the case. I mean, even after the 1-0, Osasuna, their possessions were rare and didn't last very long. I mean, even after the 1-0, Osasuna spent most of the time defending in a low block, which was, very surprising to me. I thought they would be a little bit more adventurous, but it kind of looked the same. But, they did try to push forward, but not very effectively. The first changes came in the 67th minute. Trent came off, Brahim came off. And we brought Carvajal and Mastantuono in. Now, this is very meaningful in a lot of different ways, and we'll talk about Xavi in a minute. But I think if you look at the changes he makes, the players that he switches, and the minute that he does it, it tells you a lot about Xavi, and I think it's very interesting. In the 67th minute, you had Trent Brahim come off, Carvajal and Mastantuono come in. In the 77th minute, you took Vini off and brought Gonzalo in. Again, this is very meaningful in terms of what it tells us, and we'll discuss it in a second. In the 90th minute, Arda Güler came off, who had a very complete, comprehensive game. I think worked really hard yesterday, and Ceballos came in. Now, in terms of what you can take away from this match, look, I understand that on the surface it kind of looks like one of those frustrating 1-0s, but I do think there are some things that I thought were very, very positive, and let me tell you what I thought those were. First of all, there was a much higher energy level. This was tangible, okay? Compared to last year, the level of urgency, the kind of intensity, the quickness, the energy, there was a level of urgency yesterday that you did not see in these type of games last year. Yes, it was frustrating. We were having a hard time finding space, but the ball was moving around much more quickly than it did last year. We were playing more vertically. I just felt that there was a lot more urgency in our play and a lot more energy in our play, and it was tangible compared to last year. So I think that Xavi's sort of very high intensity personality, I think, is seeping through to the squad. Number two, another thing I noticed, and this was, really visible because it was so absent last year, there was a lot more backtracking. Okay, I saw Kylian, not just Kylian, Vini as well, on a few occasions, backtracking to help defend, to steal a ball when one of their midfielders had the ball and you're not looking behind you. And one of our forwards comes all the way back to steal a ball. That type of backtracking, which is so instrumental, and it's really effective when you steal balls in dangerous situations. I saw Vini on a number of occasions, two specifically, where he ran a lot. He backtracked like crazy to try to win a ball back. Especially after losing a ball, there was this kind of energy to get it back. So there was a backtracking by Vini and Kylian that you did not see last year. You absolutely did not see it last year. So I think that Xavi has made it very clear to Vini and Kylian, you guys are going to help defend, and if you don't, I'm going to take you off. And he's proving that he's going to stick to his guns. So number two, I would say there was a lot more backtracking than we're used to last year. Number three, our recovery after a ball loss was much quicker. The moment you lose the ball, now this is a tactic a lot of teams are using these days. It's sort of part of modern football, that when you lose the ball, you just begin this very intense press to get it back. Now, the amount of time it took us to get the ball back last year was just painful. Not last night. Last night, the moment we lost the ball, there was just an incredible level of intensity to recover the ball, and we did so very quickly after every ball loss yesterday. So I think our ability to recover the ball and to press high has improved a lot. That would be number three. Number four, we're much more territorially aggressive. So when we're in possession, there were so many moments last night where all 10 of our players, Courtois is obviously in goal, but all 10 of our players were in the Osasuna half, and the center backs were not. I'm not talking about the center line, the midline. I mean, I'm talking about really, really far forward. So it is just a much more aggressive mindset. It's a much more offensive mindset than anything we saw last year. So even in possession, we really try to smother the opponent with an incredibly high defensive line. So that's something that I think signals a very positive state of mind, which is very aggressive and very sort of front foot forward thinking. Okay, number 5. Our passes are just much more vertical, especially from the back. If you notice the initial distributions that come even from Courtois and from the center backs and from Tchouaméni and from Arda, from further back, those first outlet balls are very deep. They're very vertical. They're these low, very precise, low passes. But we're looking for depth much more quickly than we did last year. Last year, there was a lot more of sort of securing possession, a lot more horizontal play, and it felt like the transition from defense to attack took so much longer. Now when we recover a ball, we're immediately looking for these very deep vertical balls, usually low balls, but we also tried to change play aerially as well. But I can just tell it's a much more vertically minded mindset. And we're just much more quick to try to attack than we were last year. Again, I think this is a really positive takeaway. Okay, number 6. I think that the progress of some of the injured players is nothing short of remarkable. I thought Militao's performance yesterday was shockingly good. I mean, well, not that it was exceptionally good. I mean, I thought he had a good game. But considering what he's coming from, I thought it was extraordinary. I mean, you're talking about the 2 worst possible injuries you can have on different knees back to back. I mean, the fact that he's playing is already kind of miraculous, and I thought he actually looked quite good. I thought he was maybe like a step slower than we remember him, but I think the progress that some of our injured players have made is incredible. And Carvajal, to see Carvajal out there from the 67th minute is extraordinary. So I think another very positive takeaway is that some of the recovery of our very important injured players is ahead of schedule, certainly ahead of my expectations. So that was very positive. And then number 7, and here I'm alluding to the substitutions I just talked about. Number 7, Xavi, he has balls. He's showing that he's not shy. He doesn't, he is willing to bet on youth. Look at the amount of minutes he's giving Arda Güler. The fact that he gave Mastantuono any minutes at all yesterday just shows you how courageous Xavi is in terms of his attitude. He is not afraid to put young players on in critical moments. He's not sort of, walking on eggshells. He's very aggressive. He's also not afraid to make changes early because his style of play is very demanding. The players are going to get very tired because he demands that they run a lot. So he's willing to make changes very early, and he's willing to make changes. Nobody's sacred here. This guy does not have any sacred cows, and he's making it very clear. By the way, we have to talk about Rodrigo. Rodrigo did not play a single minute. Now, not a single minute. Now, if you didn't think Rodrigo was out the door, I think at this point you have to start considering it, because it is very unusual that Rodrigo didn't get a single minute. But I think it also tells us that Xavi is just a coach that has very big balls and very strong ideas, and he's going to stick to his guns. He took Vini off in the 77th minute. That's not something you would have seen very often last year, and Ancelotti would have waited until the 89th minute to change anything. But I think Xavi is showing us that he's very brave in terms of his style. He's willing to make changes early. He's willing to take off some very big names if he feels like it. He's not scared about it. And I think he's showing us that he's a very commanding and I think very brave manager. And I think, those changes signal to me that this is a really good manager who has very strong ideas. I thought those were very positive takeaways. And then finally, number 8, I would say that, he's managed to, some of our players are in really peak form. I mean, I think Arda Güler is in incredible form. I think he's getting the best of Arda because Arda's playing very, very well in different positions. I think Huijsen is extraordinary. This guy looks like he's been playing at Real Madrid for 30 years. I mean, he's so calm and collected on the ball. This is an amazing player, and Xavi's getting the best of him. And I think we are now seeing peak Kylian Mbappe, because Mbappe's game last night was absolutely unbelievable. I thought he had a fantastic match. Look, in terms of players, I mean, those would be my highlights. I think Kylian had an extraordinary match. I think his speed, when you watch his speed in real time, it's baffling. He's so quick in short spaces and in long sprints. He's so quick. It's just frightening. This is about as good. I mean, this is the best Mbappe I've seen since he's come to Madrid by far. Huijsen is exceptional. Arda Güler is playing incredibly well. Fede, very consistent. As always, Tchouaméni, I think, had an absolutely excellent match. Again, this is, he's now stacking up a bunch of games back to back to back where he's playing very, very well in that defensive pivot position. Kylian's in great shape. I think Vini still needs a little bit of work. I think he still feels a little bit tentative on the left. He's taking people on a little bit less often. And when he does, his percentage of success seems to be a little bit lower. I think Vini needs to continue to work. I don't think this is the best version of Vini just yet. So I still think he needs a bit of work. But this is a coach that's going to use the whole roster. He wasn't shy about bringing Gonzalo in. Mastantuono just got off a plane and he put him on the pitch. So I don't know. I think there are some very positive things here that we can hang our hat on. So generally speaking, I think I'm really encouraged. But anyway, listen, those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comment section. Thanks for joining me as always. Again, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for joining me, and as always and forever, a la Madrid.